What's up, everybody, and welcome into the Backliners podcast. It's Agro and Barracuda, as per usual. This is going to be an episode, everyone. It has been a crazy week for me. Lots of Season 10 fun stuff, but busy stuff going on. A lot going on in the Smite world, so we got a lot to get to. Barra, do you think your microphone is working? It isn't. We knew it wouldn't. Yeah, I heard you chuckling, and I even thought, okay, I don't see his levels popping up in this moment. Why don't I change it this time? There we go. It is either default, headphone, or speaker. One of the three. And it's just random. It's just random. I don't understand it, man. I don't get it. I don't know what's happening. This is going to be my energy all episode.
Yeah, there's just something about the holidays where everything just becomes much more stressful. And I don't know why, but it just seems like right on December 1st, like everything starts like lighting on fire all around you.
Yeah.
So,
and that is a really good time to also be getting ready to launch a brand new season on the video game you work on. That actually makes it a lot easier and less intense in every way. It's really not. It's nothing to. I really don't think that it's an unreasonable amount of work or anything like that. It's just like the timing is always a little inconvenient. But we got stuff in the oven. It's cooking. And say nice things about Season 10 or else is where I'm at now. All right, we had a big weekend, last week, I should say, of Smite content that we can go over, though, which is the good news in this instance.
And a patch that I didn't even know that was happening.
A patch that you didn't even know was happening. Where do you want to start? I think we should start with the SEC championships real quick.
Sure.
Because not a lot of... I'm just going to be completely honest. I did not have a lot of time to watch this weekend, so I don't have a whole lot of analysis to break down or anything like that. Real life got in the way a little bit, so apologies on that. I saw that you were doing your super speed review earlier on today. Go ahead.
I watched all of the games at 2x speed.
Okay.
Because last week I did not want to sit through 4 days of 8 hours of EU SEC. So 2 days of 6 hours each seemed much better than 4 days of 8 hours.
I'm not great at math, but that sounds good.
It is less hours overall.
Yep.
But I didn't really I took a ton of notes.
Ooh,
but
look at you.
They weren't great notes. Basically, I was just saying what was happening in the game. But I mean, overall, there were just a lot of games where nothing happened in the early game, and then the next game would be everything was happening in the early game, and then it would be a really clean mid game, and then it'd be a really sloppy mid game the next game, and then it'd be a really quick late game and a really easy siege, and then there was a 66-minute game that lasted forever, and no one could siege or get Fire Giant for literally 10 minutes. And then they did get Fire Giant, and they threw it away. And so that was basically just the synopsis of the whole weekend. I will say, overall, I think Mambo is, leagues ahead of everyone else.
It is not close.
Yeah, and that kind of showed in every Mambo set, I think, where they just seemed just up and beyond better than everyone else in the EU SEC. It seemed like Ravens and I think it was Scorpions at the end.
Yep.
Yeah, Ravens and Scorps at the end. They seem relatively close. I think Ravens actually should have won. Or I think Scorpions actually should have won, but Ravens ended up winning that last set.
Yes. Yeah, I did catch a little bit of that final set between the Ravens and the Scorpions. I don't know about you, but I was a little surprised at the sloppiness of the Ravens, just based on adapting there, having Coast, who has been around for a long time. I mean, Angry Kana, Eye Silencers are guys who have been in the EU SEC for a very long time, and it wasn't even for guys of that talent level, you expect more mechanical mistakes because they aren't scrimming, hours and hours a day, getting that consistent practice, all that kind of stuff. Even the most talented SEC players mechanically get better when they make it to the SPL most of the time because of the amount of increased practice and quality practice they get. Usually I expect more mechanical mistakes than very simple, like simple is maybe too harsh a word, but the types of mistakes the Ravens made in that set, and the Scorpions for that matter, surprised me a little bit. I don't know if you felt the same way when you were watching it.
Yeah, I felt the same way just because of how clean Mambo is.
Yep.
And also, it feels like Mambo is able to get away with basically whatever draft they want. I think there was one game they had like Shing, Hun Bats, and a Kronos mid. Like Shing solo, Hun jungle, Kronos mid. And then they were still able to somehow get pressure on the map.
Yeah.
Like, that just genuinely does not add up to me, and it seems like that should not be a thing. I don't know if people, like, can't pressure properly. And in the games where Mambo does go pressure, they just look like an SPL team. Like, it just looks like they just know how to play Smite and play their leads. Like, even with, like, limited kill games, it just, like, everyone else, just seemed so much sloppier over the days, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Hex Mambo and the Highland Ravens, the two teams that qualified
Also,
to go to the group stage. Go ahead.
I will say I did not understand why teams were preferring Alquang so much. That just seems like a ranked pick or something where you're just hopefully able to like gank the solo lane or gank the support over and over and get free kills. It just doesn't really seem like that will really work in comp. Like even SEC, I feel like it's just.
If I had to guess, I'll bet you it's because Johnny is the jungler on the #1 team in your region. And he has styled on your team many times in scrims and in sets with Alquang, which is one of his signature picks. And usually when that happens, that pick becomes more and more prevalent throughout. You would think that it would make players better against the pick, but in my experience watching, it seems to almost do not the opposite. Players don't get worse against it, but it does just become more popular if the best player at it is dominating the region with it. It also happens in EUSEC with Heimdall, because Echrome is such an insane Heimdall player that every ADC just has to be able to top pick Heimdall and do work on it. So, Heimdall starts to see more play. Alquang, that's my best guess, because I agree. I don't think that Alquang is particularly strong right now.
They would go like Charybdis mid with an Alquang jungle, and I was just thinking like maybe you just want like a default pressure hunter in mid that can just get the Alquang through, like they were also going like Book of Thoth Alquang, and I feel like that, like you were cooking in the oven for a long time and just hoping like your Charybdis or your Soul Laner can like make enough room. But like if you're into like say like a Bologna Osiris like solo jungle, which I feel like Osiris is randomly coming back in the jungle, we all love that.
Yep. Sure
I feel like the Alquang just can't play the game, and there's like other picks that can do the same thing. I can just pressure the Alquang and back camps at blue buff, like just make him completely lose all farm. And also, teams just didn't really seem how to or what to do against Mambo. I feel like taking the rotators away from Deathwalker is the best way to beat them, because Deathwalker on the rotators, like he just makes way too many plays around the map.
Yep.
But teams continually gave him rotating style gods, and I think he just does too much on those.
Yeah, agreed. You have to landlock that guy. Just keep him in his lane, or accept that he is going to rotate to fights and pick someone who can actually punish that type of rotation by hard shoving the lane, getting towers quickly, all that kind of stuff. Is probably a good idea against this squad. I can just imagine, I'm just thinking about the Charybdis Alquang with Book of Thoth, and I'm like thinking about what Lasbra would pick and how Lasbra would play that matchup, and I'm just imagining a Pele on their back camps the entire game. Like, there is no way that Alquang should be able to stack a Book of Thoth in the jungle and not be 2 levels behind. That's it.
Like, just seeing, like, if oh yeah, there was also a literal first pick Alquang in one of the games. That blew my mind. That's as bad as first picking Dance. Like I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will
Who would
say,
do that?
Gunter really impressed me.
That guy's a beast.
Throughout all of my notes, I think I had several notes about Gunter either making like big plays or just like good individual plays.
Yep.
And then on top of that, there was a bit of Hercules Golden Blade. Itori seems to just love Golden Blade on
Yep.
like all of his characters, and then I think Listimix had really good Golden Blade Hercules games. I don't remember if Kana played any.
Yeah.
Um, but that was also pretty interesting. I don't know if that's just for lane pressure or if it's like a safety thing for Herc that you don't feel like you have to like push all the waves to clear.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Lisnemix has always been a Hercules player, but the Golden Blade tech is interesting. Same type of idea where I think that teams just kind of unlock. There are so many preconceived expectations and assumptions about the right way to play a game of competitive Smite or right way to play any game of Smite that just stifle different like players trying different things. And I wonder if the full damage Hades solo has like opened up the idea of if I can just if I can play safe enough or dominate my lane hard enough, I don't really need defense. If I can be uninteractive enough, then I don't need defense, and I can afford to go something like that early. I mean, we've seen so much Horus solo this year with Golden Blade. I'm excited to see that kind of stuff. I think that's very cool. Just having to commit your 2 to group up the whole wave and then just basic attack it down, keep driving strike forever. Why not?
Then you also have boulders for lane clear as well.
Yep. Yeah, Boulder do be clearing waves. That's for sure. How before we move on to patch notes, Hex Mambo obviously the team to watch going into the qualifiers out of EU, but can never count out a team with adapting on it. How surprised would you be if Hex Mambo was one of the 4 teams that qualify to the Smite World Championships in January?
They're in Gaming King Striker in chat said they're in Scarabs, Onis, and NA SEC 2's bracket. And Scarabs are looking pretty good. I think Mambo actually have a pretty good shot up against Onis, because I think Onis will defeat themselves mentally if they have to play against Mambo.
Possible.
I think all 3 of those teams will beat any team, or any NA SEC team, even though, I mean, NA,
Yeah.
go NA or whatever, but I think Mambo can just beat, or I think all 3 of those teams can just beat whatever NASCC team happens in that bracket. But I wouldn't be that surprised, because I mean the Dragons Mambo set earlier this year, Mambo looked really good against Dragons, and Dragons are also a team, in my opinion, that sometimes struggle against teams that it's just like the SEC teams. You don't really know what they're gonna play.
Right.
They also like don't have anything to lose when they're playing against you, so
Right.
they can just play like buck wild. They can go for all these solo kills, which SPL players are much more reserved, because as you play more and more SPL games, you're like, okay, I probably shouldn't go for this like solo kill. Like if the jungler's here, if the support's here, it just gets like, you guys get like, I guess, trained into being safer.
Right.
And the SEC people, I don't think will really play that way, or at least they shouldn't. So I think Mambo has a really good shot against Onis and NA or whatever SEC team comes out. I think Bugs are looking pretty good right now, so I think Bugs are like a definite out of that group in my opinion. But Onis, I mean, I would love to say Onis for sure can make it out, but they're just so weird on tournament day. Yeah, like
you just never know.
That roster on paper, I shouldn't have to think about.
Nope.
Like, I should just be like, okay, yeah, they can definitely beat the SEC team 100%. But I'm just not that confident.
Yeah, I would be if I had to assign a percentage that Hex Mambo make it to Worlds, it wouldn't be that far below 50%. It would be like, I'll give them like a 35%. 65% chance to make it to Worlds, which is significant. You know, for my Fire Emblem fans out there, XCOM fans, like, you see a 65% chance. I'm not feeling very good about that. 35 is a lot to give up in percentages. So we'll see. It would be really exciting to see them make it. I hope they make a run, and I hope they play well. And I always want every team to play well because I just want to watch good Smite. But excited to see what they are going to bring.
That is a good question. I want to know who is all traveling.
Yeah, that's huge.
From Mambo. If there's more than one person that cannot travel on Mambo, it goes to
SPL
like 3%. Holiday. Oh, yeah.
It goes significantly.
Oh, all of them are traveling, according to chat.
Big.
That is huge. That is massive.
Man, that land is gonna be so awesome. I legitimately cannot wait for that land. How
so
glad
happy
are you don't have to play in that land, dude.
Bro, I'm so happy. I was just about to say that. Like, my stress levels once we beat Titans rock bottom. Like, yeah. I'm so happy. Like, playing as an SPL team against SEC is just always scary. Yeah. Like, it's genuinely, you don't know what they're gonna do. They're gonna play crazy. They're not playing to lose anything. Like, if they lose, it doesn't matter to them. And if they win, it's everything. Like, if they even get an ounce of momentum, they can carry that and snowball it through the entire set. And it's just a terrifying place to be.
Maybe there's a lesson to be learned there, Barry, about playing to win, not playing to not lose.
That's what I did when I picked Dan's 8 times. And then we went to World, so that's
cool. Something's got to be there. Coast in chat says, "I wish I could say the same." I'm assuming you mean about travel, Coast. Could you reveal who is coming? You don't have to, of course, but I am curious for sure. Should be fun. Hopefully, everyone from all teams can travel, but sounds like it will not be angry. Won't be there. Okay. Well, at least it's not a backliner who has to hit a lot of buttons all the time. That would be unfortunate. That is definitely a shame. Angry in particular is like such a beast. I've been saying that guy is SPL ready for like 2 years, and legitimately believe that. So
he's correct.
Definitely a shame, but hopefully you guys can make a run anyways, and excited to see what the LAN holds. Oh, unfortunate. Well, Ko says, Angry's out there, and then a situation occurred which hasn't been made public. I don't know when it will. Well, we don't want to make it public here if it has to go through some official channel. So that's what we like to call a nice little cliffhanger for you in the business. that'll come out
Coast.
Eventually. Way to go, Coast.
First pick Dan's, run it down, do not press that S key, and see what happens.
It's always served him well. I think all ADC should just gun it down all the time. So, and that's why I've been a fan of Coast Play forever, because my man has gunned it down the whole time. All right, before we move on to the 9.12 patch notes, we got to let you know about some different stuff. So first and foremost, got to tell you about this great little service called Factor Meals. If you guys are anything like me, and like we talked about at the very beginning of the show, your entire universe is just it's like, the snow globe is both well-timed in terms of its theming for the time of year, but also for how the holidays feel a lot of the time. It just everything gets like shaken up, and then it's all just kind of floating in there. Why do you never mind, I can't go down that route. I was about to go off on a long tangent about snow globes that I just know we do not have the time to do. So with all of that nonsense going on in your life right now, all of the different things for the holidays and traveling and all that kind of stuff, there is no way we are going to have any time to do any cooking this week.
Yep.
So that's why it's the perfect time for us to plan ahead with something like Factor. It's a ready-to-eat meal delivery system. They shop, prep, cook, and deliver the food straight to your door so you can enjoy chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals during the holidays, minus the hassle. And if you're like me, a little bit of a picky eater, you don't have to worry, because they have 34 meals per week, including Gourmet Plus, Keto, Calorie Smart, Vegan Plus Veggie. I could have said vegan and veggie, but I read straight off the page like I'm from Anchorman. And over 36 weekly add-ons. You'll have plenty of nutritious, flavorful options to choose from. Barry.
Yes.
Can you, I think people, they know that I'm going to come up here and say some stuff excitedly because I used to do that all the time. Can you tell them legitimately?
You're the best at it.
Thank you. That Factor meals are legitimately delicious. And it's not just me saying nice things in a voice about nice things.
Yeah, as someone who ate 4 Factor boxes in one night, they are legitimately delicious. And also, they're extremely healthy, and you just pop them in the microwave for 2 minutes, and then you have a healthy meal. And I think for all of us, gamers and computer people in general, we're not the healthiest. We need to stand more, And any way to make your life a little easier, you just gotta walk to your fridge, pop open the box, pop in the microwave for 2 minutes, and then eat a delicious, healthy meal. And as Agro said, there's tons of varieties. There's a large variety of
tons of varieties selections. Is good. That's proper English, I think.
Thank you. It didn't sound great coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, that's right.
But me and Agro have different diets. I'm vegan. He eats anything. So
that's
both of us can... Except for Factor meals. Those are good for you.
Those are good for me. Yeah, that's big is to find something that is good for me and that I like a lot. And Factor certainly covers that. So if you want to get involved, which of course you should, head on over to go.factor75.com/backliners60 and use code backliners60 to get 60% off your first box. That's code backliners60 at go.factor75.com/backliners60 to get 60% off your first box. Big shout out to Factor as always. All right, let's talk 9.12. And I saw you play the big headline. I said it on the update show. I'll say it here again. Don't want to stir the snow globe too much. As everyone says, everyone knows what that phrase means. On game balance right before the World Championship. So nothing insane, but still some buffs and nerfs to go over here in a little bit. But the big new thing is the brand new adventure. It's the first time we've done an adventure for a while. This has been in the works for months and months and months and months and months. And it's Odin's Onslaught. So brand new 2v2v2v2v2. It's 5 teams of 2 where you're battling it out on a brand new map. To gain some gold, kill some bosses, return some flags, all that kind of stuff. And so far, it seems like reception has been pretty positive, which is obviously great to see. It seems like people are really having fun with it. How'd you like your first foray into Odin's Onslaught today, Barry?
Oh, I liked it a lot. Considering I had no idea that it was happening, it was a nice little surprise when I logged on to Smite today. I played about 8 games of it, and every game I felt like I was doing something wrong. So that's pretty fun when you are like, okay, I'm not optimizing this as efficiently as I should. And then I just started playing a lot of Bologna with Golden Blade and Berserker Shield and Shoguns, and I was running at all those little filthy auto attackers that were trying to clear their camps.
Yep.
And killing them, which... The more I played, I learned that kills are not the way to go about that game mode. You just want to be PvEing as much as possible. And I think you kind of want to play it like it's a duel a little bit. And just be one of those really annoying people that doesn't fight. And just like Poseidon, I played against Poseidon earlier when like Doom Orb. And he just farmed everything and they won. And so I think like playing it like that is pretty important. If it is possible, I would like to see that kills and experience, or golden experience for kills goes up. I think that would be pretty nice, because it feels pretty bad to kill a camp for like 150 gold than kill a player for 50 gold.
Sure.
So I was a little sad about that. But besides that, really fun game mode. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. The amount of different iterations we play tested and all that kind of stuff was really crazy. But there were definitely times where kills were all that mattered, and then there were times where it was significantly worse than it is now with how little kills matter, and how much PvE you wanted to do. So I don't know what our plan is as far as balance and that kind of stuff for it. But from what I've seen, I think that your opinion is a pretty universally shared one. So you recommend the quick farmers that can get around the map. In my experience in our internal playtests, which are very rarely about winning and more so about testing and information gathering and all that kind of stuff, I felt like the most success that I had was on gods who could both fight and farm effectively. I tried the Bakasura, the Poseidon strategy, and, just running around only farming, all that kind of stuff. But, certainly could have optimized better, played it better, anything like that. But for me, gods like Uller felt really good, who could like insta-clear camps pretty effectively, and then take short bursty trades really well. I felt like the best comp going in was going to be something like Uller Freya, that just feels really, really hard to beat in the moments where they are strong and can win a fight quickly and then back up and then re-engage on their terms. Gods that are just in, like Pele and that kind of stuff, like weren't always the best because you were just going to get killed as often as you were getting a kill. But someone like Uller or Freya who can just axe or whoop into one shot and then back up and wait for CDs, typically played pretty well.
I completely agree. I think those are good as well.
Yeah, those that was the most fun comp that I played was Uller Freya. But it was a good time, and I encourage everybody to check it out. I think you will enjoy Odin's Onslaught for sure. I really don't know what our plan is for balance. It's a good question. I should ask someone about that. Anyways, let's talk about balance, shall we? You mentioned earlier that Osiris Jungle is all of a sudden starting again right on time. Everyone starts playing all these types of gods right before the World Championship. And in this patch, there was a nerf to Mannequin's Scepter, because that is such an Osiris abuse item. So basically just left the minion damage the same, cut the god damage in half. How important do you think this nerf is for things like Osiris Jungle and Erlang Shen Jungle, those on-demand pressure warriors that have started to pop back up?
I'm not sure, honestly, because I thought the minion damage was more important than the god damage here for this change. To shut down those style of junglers. I'm not sure how much the damage to gods matters. Because from playing against an Osiris, it's more about him insta-clearing camps, walking around the jungle, and just being somewhere that he shouldn't be.
Sure.
Not the overall, like, damage he's dealing. Because most of the time when you're dead to an Osiris Kink, you're dead regardless. You're either out of position, or jumps down, or he just has so much chase potential with slows and stuns and roots. So I'm not sure how much this changes. I mean, it obviously makes it less appealing to go those styles, but I'm not sure how much it actually changes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I will say that, we certainly discussed minion versus god damage. And these are the hardest situations, I think, where Mannequin Scepter is not a problem item anywhere except for on two gods in the highest level of play. And there are a lot of casual players who love playing Mannequin Scepter on their Arachne or on their Thanatos and just having fun in their games. And we don't want to take that fun away from them, but in situations like the World Championship, we have a little bit more leeway. But, I think that the Arachnes and the Thanatoses of the world would have been hurting a lot more with the minion change than the god damage change. And that is one of the reasons why I advocated for gods more than minions. But I don't think that this will eliminate Osiris Erlang from the world's meta. I hope it decreases their presence a little bit. But
dude, they're like cockroaches, man. They're
just unstoppable, huh?
You just think you get rid of them, they're gone for like a few months, and then you go to your garage and you're like,
Oh.
Osiris, what are you doing here?
Well, it's because, like, you know, they're doing what they're doing for so long, right? And then they get nerfed and everyone's like, oh, surely they suck now. Don't play them anymore. And then someone plays it and it's like, wait, this is still really good, guys. Like, we could just pick Erlong and run it down at him. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, this is going to be really good for us. And there it is. Like, and that's it. And it just goes to show how insane these characters have been at times, and how that cycle has all happened, where they were insane and still weren't being played for a long time in a lot of cases. And a lot of times they don't even get buffed. They just, like, pop back up like this. Like, think about what Osiris Tether used to be. That ability was insane. I'm pulling it up. I'm looking at it.
I mean, Erlong as well. Like, you did
he
so
lost
many
a knockup,
changes.
dog. He lost a knockup. A knockup.
Dog.
How could a knockup? He lost it. It's gone. He doesn't have it anymore. He lost a whole He lost the best CC.
Yep.
And he's still good.
It's just like,
remember when that character released and everyone thought he sucked? And his 2 crippled? Barra crippled! And the Mink had Fatalis. No, it was the one! The one had Fatalis. You could Fatalis, root cripple, knock up, and taunt in the same kit.
Yep.
And people thought he sucked.
We're all stupid.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's just how it goes. It's just how it goes.
There's just something about auto attack, AoE clearing gods that have CC. It's just, honestly, I guess it's just those two, huh?
Yeah, I mean,
maybe if there were more warriors with AoE auto attacks, there would be more warriors running on the jungle with mannequins.
Maybe. I mean, Nike mannequins was a thing for a little bit in the jungle because she has a cleave. We haven't
her
seen
whip is just not a good ability for jungle. Like,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice and slow. Yeah, nice and slow for sure on that one. Yeah, his tether lost 15% damage reduction on each target. So if he tethered 2 people on patch 9.6, he was gaining an extra 30% damage reduction. And it wasn't just to him, it's that those targets deal. That's how Osiris Tether works. If I'm Osiris Tethered, I deal now 20% at max rank, less damage to everything, not just to Osiris. He lost 15% per target and is still good. That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts. How many, like I feel like every tether in the late game is at least 3 people, right? It's like both backliners and a tank. That means he lost 45%. 45% damage reduction. And he's still good.
Yeah, we were watching Scream pog off on... It was like late game Osiris. Because like you always pick Osiris to like scale you through the early mid game with whatever picks and just hope that the Osiris can like do things late game.
Yep.
And Scream was just like not caring. He was just YOLOing in there like into 3 or 4 people in the late game and getting a kill or getting a relic or dropping carries like both half HP. And I'm like, how is he doing this? He's just holding W, pressing his buttons as quickly as he can. Like we even went back and watched like his POV, and my guy was literally just jamming his dent. Like he was actually just on Phoenix defense, is just like ulting through into their entire team, pressing tether, and then pressing all his buttons. Like,
why not?
It's just crazy. Yeah.
Why not? Osiris has got to be... We should do an episode where we're just talking about gods that are just like the cockroach gods, like you call them, like the gods that you just can't get rid of, that are gonna be good maybe forever, just because of what they do. And Osiris on its face doesn't look like a god that's like that, and it hasn't technically been like that. There was a time where Osiris like wasn't played at all. It was season, it looks like it was like season 7. He got buffed in season 6 launch 2019, and then didn't see another balance change for a year and a half. August 2020, patch 7.8, and then he got buffed again in 7.10. So there was, I do remember a time where Osiris like wasn't seen at all. It was probably during that like season 6 era, based on this. But man, this god now, like, I think that as players have just understood more and more and more, this god now is just crazy.
I would say, like, without mannequins, I don't think him and Erlong are going to do great in the jungle anyways. But they are cockroach gods, so maybe even without mannequins, like, if you just delete mannequins from the game, I think maybe they're still playable in the jungle. Because my gut reaction is no way they'd be playable, but I've said that a lot about those two characters.
Yep.
And they still come back, so.
They sure do. Well, even in solo, like, I feel like, because this is how it normally goes, right? Not so much for Erlong, but for Osiris, it's like, okay, well, he gets played jungle. Inevitably, his jungle gets nerfed. And then every solo laner just starts playing him. Because everyone realizes the value of having a mid-game Osiris rotate to a Gold Fury. And how it feels, like, pretty unstoppable. And I don't think his late game is very bad. He doesn't kill people super well late game as a tank, but he tanks. he tanks really well. So, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like Osiris is one of those kits that is really strong. By the way, I'm looking through these old balance changes. It's just on the Smite wiki. Did you know that before Season 4, he used to get 5% bonus damage reduction per second when a target was tethered? So every second you were tethered, you got more and more damage reduction. That was for each target.
Huh?
It lasts for 4 seconds. You're telling me
what
this ability, because it used to be 10 to 30, this would scale up to 50% damage reduction? Is that right? That's wild.
I do remember jumping out of tethers back in the day because I would just get chopped by an Osiris and insta-die. So maybe that was why.
Yeah, that seems good. He seems like he might be good.
I think it was back in the day where solo laners were literally just soloing you or soloing backliners, and you can't really do anything about that. So that tracks. That makes sense.
Yes, yeah. Solo laners might be pretty good now. They aren't that.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Okay, on her got a little buff. Cooldown on the jump went from 15 seconds at all ranks, now scales down half a second per rank, so 15 down to 13. Not a huge buff, but Honor's gotten a couple buffs in a row now, so maybe we get a little.
I was wondering maybe level 3 before Pillar now, just to like abuse the cooldown a little bit, but.
It would be really good in lane to be able to jump more often, like aggressively, but man, that damage increase on Shifting Sands is just really high. Like, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, I was just thinking like a way to use this, because I feel like late game it's not really going to do much, like around Fire Giant fights. Like, if your jump's down most of the time, you're dead anyways.
Sure. Well, I don't know. With it, on her is normally going trans, right? So that's at least 10% CDR. So, you know, between.
I think they have to go Devos right now.
Yeah, right now it's probably Devos. I mean, Devos on her likes flat pen more than most because of his passive. So maybe we could see a little bit. On her is one of those gods that if I could craft the perfect Smite World Championship composition of gods that are in the meta that people would like to see and are fun to watch, on her is definitely one of the top hunters on the list. Another hunter that is on that list for me that I think that most people will be surprised at their presence, I think Hachiman is really hype. I don't think people really give Hachi the credit that he deserves because he is an easy god to play at a lot of levels. But I think he's got some hype moments, you know?
Just buff him so he can dash off the horse again.
No.
Okay. That was the funnest part of Hachi. By far the funnest part.
Yes.
And I do think that god just got drastically worse on the 9.5 patch, because his poke used to mean something, like back in the Crusher meta. And with the Devos meta and people having so much more HP, like, 2ing them doesn't really do anything anymore. It's much more like auto attack based than like ability based poked right now. So his 2 doesn't really do much, but I do agree. I do love a good Hachiman. Maybe he comes back.
Maybe he comes back. That'd be sick. I know that you rated the channel before we went live because I looked at chat and someone brought up Jing Wei as a god in this discussion, and that is
let's go
psychotic to me. That is the least hype hunter.
Okay, that's just wrong.
Barry, come on. Come on, man. You can look as the quintessential Jing Wei abuser. You can't tell me that she has those huge pop-off moments that are as cool as someone like Hachiman or Anher. I'm pulling up the whole hunter list. As you can tell, I'm off the rails. We're off. We're gone. I'm not even trying to put this back on. I'm looking at the hunter list. Give me one moment here. Because Jing Wei has got to be the least hype of all the hunters at a competitive level.
Apollo's definitely hype.
Apollo's hype. Artemis isn't that hype, I don't think. Like...
I mean, it's really hype. Like, once you Tusky and there's 5 people around you and your Tusky just stands on top of you, that's pretty hype.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's probably my favorite.
Barra, imagine this, Barra. You're in the finals, okay? The crowd is going nuts. You're going crazy. You're playing Artemis. You press Alt, Tusky stands next to you at once. The entire crowd yells, Tusky! At the exact same time. It's the loudest thing in Texas history. It measures on the Richter scale.
I would probably get up and leave, especially if I genuinely missed a Tusky and the crowd went Tusky. Like I would leave.
Yeah, that would
make me so upset.
That would be brutal. Okay, I'm not gonna go over who is not hype, but I will talk about who is pretty hype. I think Chernobog is hype. Just getting to fights and then like being able to dash through a team fight, dodge something big, that kind of stuff is cool. Chiron is hype with the snipes. I think Kurtanos is pretty hype because he has those like stand and fight moments really well where he just like turns fights at melee range that he should lose and can be a pretty aggressive hunter. So I'm about that. Danza, of course. Heimdall has the flashy opportunities, but I don't know if the average Heimdall game would get most people super hyped. A lot of the time he just like eliminates a frontliner with his ult and then the fight's over.
Yeah, it depends on the direction of the fight. I think if Heim's getting dove, it's pretty spicy, but if he's just hitting frontliners, it's pretty like every other hunter.
Yeah. I just need to see the port forward tech plays, you know, where you like where you're placing the aggressive ports to like get your knock up and that kind of stuff. Like that's the good stuff. Ho Yi, like the most hype hunter in the entire game. That character is just crazy. Ishtar, I think, is really cool and really hype. I assume we will see her at the world stage, and I think that's going to be awesome. And Rama, iconic. Medusa as well, I think, has those big ults, but that's about it. Barry, you have not a very hype god pool. Can I say that to you?
You don't think Apollo's hype?
No, Apollo's sick, for sure. Apollo's definitely hype.
Okay.
No doubt. But, like, Scotty is, like, the most anti-hype, right?
Well, Scotty is terrible right now. Good. Scotty and Jing Wei are not great right now. So
cool.
My god pool in the worlds is Just Dance.
Yeah, Just Dance. And that is a hype god. So that you got that going
Thank
for
you. Well, I had to get one in there.
Yeah. You should have told me beforehand to buff Hachi for you. You know, that's what should have happened.
I mean, you guys did, but that was one of the worst buffs I've ever seen.
What was it again?
The attack speed, like up to level
steroid
9, basically.
Is it? What do you mean? If we added 2 seconds to Artemis steroid, people would think it's good, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
But you don't max Artemis steroid first.
No.
You max Hachi 2 first.
Yeah, and it's good to have it more. You get more attack speed for longer. Your Guardian can get more attack speed. Bro, just play the...
Oh, boy.
Play the Maui Hachi lane. He's swinging. It's AoE autos. It cleaves. There you go. There's your tech.
Thank you. Okay. We'll play that on Thursday when I script.
We're on the second god, by the way. Ao Kuang.
Oh, yeah.
His 3 went down. This was before we saw Ao Kuang, of course, dominate the EU SCC lane.
Truly crazy performance.
Good lord, my brain is completely gone. Yeah, Ao Kuang, fine, but probably not seeing significant play off that is my guess.
Oh, buff Hachi one. Give him like 2 more shots. Okay, there you go.
Okay, there we go. Cucullin, there's a hype god. Cucullin is pure hype all around.
Actually true, yeah.
I love this god. increased base damage on his 1 in both forms, and on the ultimate, speaking of 9.5 and how that affected Hachiman's poke, Cucullin was one of those gods that really lost a lot of his... He doesn't have a lot of utility in the kit. A lot of his... the reason to pick Cucullin is because he will kill people, and he wasn't killing people very well. And these buffs aren't huge in terms of the base damage, but if you can full combo someone in human form, get the 1 on them, swap over, get the other 1, 20 base damage on warriors ends up usually doing a good amount for them. And that's what he gets across both forms of the 1. I'm not sure. It's also not a bluestone meta, which Cucullin normally likes, but he is one of the few gods that can kind of be okay with both. So I don't know that we're going to see Cucullin, but I hope so, selfishly.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see much Cucullin. I mean, like you said, he's a god that kills people. I don't think these changes are enough to push him in and push the other soul laners out. Yeah, I just don't think he does as much. But I do agree. I think Cucullin is one of the most hype warriors. So hopefully he does see play.
Cucullin's so sick, man. Do you think it's just because we were conditioned by Benji to think this god is hype, or do you think he's actually hype? Is it just
okay? That guy was actually OP when Benji. When Benji was going off, he was actually busted. Yeah,
busted for sure.
I do think this god is pretty hype just because he can make so many plays, but I think back then the plays he was making are pretty normal plays nowadays.
It's true.
So it's much more expected. Like, it's not... Because I feel like back then, people were just confused when Cucullin would transform, or how to play against it, and now I feel like it's pretty obvious.
Yep.
But yeah, I still think it's hype. I still think it's fun.
Me too. Here's another hype. Go ahead.
If you blink ult, an entire team, it's still going to be a hype. For
sure. Man, that kit is so cool. I love that kit. Hebo. Here's a hype god. Gets a little bit more base movement speed, 355 to 360. That might not seem like a lot if you are a casual listener or SPL viewer. You might not put a lot of stock in a 5 base movement speed increase, but remember that all movement speed is percentage based. So getting that base number going up means a good amount. And putting Hebo to more assassin-like levels, because Hebo is, for all intents and purposes, a magical assassin. And giving him some more base HP per level in order to, again, be more like a assassin-like than mage-like.
And I think he suffered with the same Cucullin Hachiman. He's a god that, in my opinion, does X amount of damage, and if X amount of damage doesn't kill people, then he's bad.
Yep.
So any buff towards Hebo, in my opinion, is a good idea.
Yep. If Hebo got released today, if he didn't exist before now, if he got released today, what percentage of teams would play him in mid versus in the jungle? Would any team play him more in mid than in jungle? Because I don't think they necessarily would. I think that everyone would think this guy's a jungler instantly.
Yeah, I think they would think he's a jungler and then play him in the jungle, get ran up by an Osiris, and not pick him in the jungle again.
Oh, the boogeyman that is Osiris.
The cockroach.
Yep, just can't get rid of him. Speaking of Heimdall, he got a buff this patch.
That's a fatty buff.
I don't know. My brain is so toasted that I'm just going to... I'm pulling the whole curtain back. Here's how this happened. I played a Heimdall game, and my 1 hit the archers, and I laughed. I was like, what was that? That did nothing. And I pressed K, and I was like, 70? What is that? That's nothing.
Yeah.
But this character does get a lot of power usually. It's a little bit more power-based build. Don't want to make this ability hit too hard. I'm pretty happy with this shift in upping it early and not increasing it late. I don't know if this makes him SPL viable. I'm hoping that you can tell me. But I do think that this will feel noticeably better for Heimdall, because his level 1 clear is, it's oftentimes level 2 if you're doing the strat where you get your 3 and port to purple.
That's what I was gonna say, yeah.
Laughable how little damage it did.
Yeah, you're just wanting to press the button most of the times early game.
I feel like my mana bar is simply too full. I would like to spend some of it.
Yeah, I'm just going to press my 3 about 8 more times, and then press my 1, and then, be sad that it does 70 damage. But now, I feel like that's pretty good damage, especially early game. You're actually going to enjoy hitting people with that button.
Yep.
Whereas before, it's like you said, it's like, okay, what's even the point of pressing it on the...
It was wild. And I get it. Like, he has cleave autos. He hits harder on the cleave than most hunters do. But my boy, like, he needs to... The 70 was just a relic of some squishier minions and gods, for sure.
Yep, 100%.
I hope we do see Heim, because I think he's cool. That is for sure. Next up is Jormungandr. Another god.
Yep.
He's going to be OP eventually. This is how it always happens. It's how it always happens, Barry.
I think he's an item-based god, and his items aren't great in solo right now.
That is true. They are not great in solo right now.
I think Tank Yorm is like Tank Wukong. You might as well play literally any other god. And I think this god's only good with like hybrid or a lot of like offensive power. And I think when he did really good, it was when the pin items were really good and the proccing items were really good. I think it was like an E-Staff build, and he was just proccing E-Staff permanently and like a lot of penetration in his builds. And I think the pin items are pretty good right now, but I think he might just die too easily to the junglers that are being played currently. And I don't know how good his lane pressure is currently. I would assume it's okay, but I don't know because I haven't seen a Yorm in quite some time. But I mean, the cooldown will feel nice for sure.
Yeah, just decrease cooldown on the 1 and the 2. Should be interesting. I should play a Yorm game. I haven't gotten a Yorm.
He is a fun god.
He is really fun. And very, very unique in what he does. And I'm a big fan of the Rangda's Yorm mid. Always a good time. Wonder if Yorm could...
The row tech.
Wonder if Yorm could do a little bit of jungling these days. I always felt like he could maybe do some cool stuff in the jungle, but I digress. Next up is Ishtar, but before we get to that, I'm incapable of making clever transitions, so deal with it. Gotta let you know about our second sponsor of the episode, and that is BetterHelp. Here's my best sales point on therapy. As you'd probably tell, I'm a little all over the place right now. And like I'm sure many of you are with this time of year and busy stuff going on. Wednesday mornings is when I have therapy, and I literally cannot wait for my therapy session tomorrow because I know that it is going to make me feel so much better. Just being able to like really get to the bottom of what is stressing me out and all that kind of stuff, and talk with someone who is an expert on helping me understand how my brain is interpreting all of these external factors and turning them into the way I feel and act and think. So I'm very excited about it, and I highly, highly, highly encourage you all out there to go and seek out a therapist of your own. And luckily, we've got a great sponsor to help with that in BetterHelp. This show, I was supposed to read this at the very top, but I should, and I didn't, but oh well. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp, is what I have to say. But yeah, seriously, it is a service that can make a lot of the stressful parts of trying to find a therapist a lot easier. They will help put you in contact with a few therapists that can fit whatever need, learning how to have better coping skills or self-empowerment, dealing with trauma, anything like that. BetterHelp is great for those things. And it isn't easy, and especially in my experience, you won't always find therapists that you vibe with. And BetterHelp makes it easy to switch it up, give you lots of options, all that kind of stuff. In-person, online calls, text conversations, whatever. BetterHelp can help you find it all. So, as the world's largest therapy service, BetterHelp has matched 3 million people with professionally licensed and vetted therapists, available 100% online. Plus, it's affordable. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist, and if things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist at any time. It couldn't be simpler. No more waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Learn more and save 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/backliners. That's BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/backliners. Big shout outs to BetterHelp for supporting the show. Again, a great way to help support us and to support the show is by interacting with our sponsors. So head on over there to betterhelp.com/backliners. It'll be good for you as well, which is important to us.
And good for everyone else in your life.
That's correct. Ishtar getting a little bit of a nerf. Small nerf here for Ishtar. One of those gods that, another example of where releasing weak isn't the easiest place to then. It's much easier to balance gods down from their release point than balance them up. And Ishtar has been getting a couple of buffs now on top of the SPL. That is, I don't think that she has looked unbeatable by any stretch, but certainly a very balanced hunter, in that she doesn't have a ton of weaknesses. So getting a little bit of a nerf to the imbue arrows, increasing the cooldown of it by 1 second, and decreasing the damage on Storm Shot by 5%. That is the long range one, I do believe. How much do you think this hurts Ishtar?
Honestly, I would say it's like it hurts her by I'd say 5, maybe 10%. Because that you did spam the one a lot.
Yep.
So I think that will affect her laning phase and boxing potential a little bit, especially in the early mid game. Maybe a little bit late game on the sieges and around Fire Giant where you're just pressing 1-3 on cooldown. I do think the 85 to 80% will feel kind of bad late game. But in my opinion, it was doing way too much anyways in those late game situations.
Sure.
So I think it's a good direction. And also, I think in SPL, her floor was just so high.
Yep.
You pick Ishtar, you're going to have lane pressure, which gets you the first scepter pressure most of the time, which gets you outside, the minions on the outside, which also you get to your purple faster, which you're getting your back off sooner. So it's just a big snowball effect, it feels. And if no one's relieving pressure in the 1v1, her 1v1 is very good. I think in when I was playing Dans against Ishtar, I was either keeping her under her tower or she was keeping me under my tower. There wasn't really an in-between during the games. So yeah, I think this is a good change. I think it's a good direction.
Yeah.
I just think in competitive, her floor is just so high.
Yep. She does a lot of things really well and very few things poorly. That's usually a good recipe to get picked in the SPL. Next up, speaking of a god that needed to be brought up a little bit, it's my boy, it's Maui. The one got a couple of changes, a little bit more damage, and increasing the range of starting up the charge of the one before it started just in front of Maui, basically at 0. So if you went to charge it, it was really 4 units in front of him. If you tried to throw it as fast as humanly possible, it only went 4 units. It was very, very short. Now it's going to go all the way. It starts at 25, which is his basic attack range. So you always know that you will hit someone within that range if you insta-fire it. And then decreasing the time it takes to reach that max charge range from 1.4 seconds to 1 second. And the 2 got a little bit of a shift. 20% movement speed across your team obviously was a little bit strong, but the early points in this ability weren't very good. Especially for protections, but for movement speed as well. And the use of the 2, as we always knew it would, is a huge skill exposure. The good players at using Maui 2 are going to win a lot more games than players who are not as good at using the 2. And that's not even taken into consideration allies using the teleport properly, all that kind of stuff. Lower end support players aren't great at timing their relics, getting the right shell off at the right time, clutch med, good frenzy, all that kind of stuff. And this is really just using a relic the vast majority of the time. So we squished the numbers. It was a much bigger spread. Movement speed was 4 to 20%. Protections were 5 to 25. Now they're squished. Movement speed is 8 to 16 and protections are 15 to 35. I think these 2 changes I'm very happy with how they turned out. I'm really happy that we were able to get in the range change. I think they will help the bottom end of Maui players a lot more than they will help the pro Maui players, which is good because he's already been quite good in pro play, but was not doing very well at most levels, without making the pro play too much better. And I think net nerfing the two at a pro level, obviously getting 10 more prots early is a big deal, but I think if I presented these two numbers to most pros, they would have taken the 20% movement speed at max rank as the strongest aspect of this ability, and losing that extra movement speed, I think, hurts this ability at high level more than gaining the 10 prots late game helps it. How do you feel about these changes, Barry?
Yeah, I agree. I think the hook change is a massive buff, unless I'm misreading it. And I will say, I think the prop buff early game and Maui's 2v2s is crazy. Like 15 prots early game is crazy. Because I don't think people were ever maxing this button.
Most of the time it was second from most people, from most players I talked to.
So it seems like in those early games, like at level 3, level 4, I think that prop buff will be pretty massive around the scepter fights and the 4-minute to 6-minute purple buff fights.
Yeah,
so,
I definitely
agree. I already thought this guy was really good, and I like these changes.
Yeah, I think I'm excited to see how much it helps him. The majority of Maui players out there who I know have been struggling. And I'm excited at the amount of pro play he's seen so far, and hopefully we'll see him at the world stage, because, think about hype gods for worlds. Call me biased a little bit, but I think he's going to be pretty hype, which is going to be fun. Neath, decrease cooldown on Unravel from 15 seconds to 14 seconds. That's a 2. And then Backflip, it says this ability will now pass through all player-made walls. This could read, you can now backflip out of Umoja ult, because that was the only one that at least I know that wasn't working properly.
Which was making me rage so hard.
Yes, it was an inconsistency, and it was unintended. And I'm sorry that it made you rage, Barry, and I'm happy to report that it is fixed.
Yeah, I was so confused. I'm like, why can I backflip out of every single wall player made in the game but Umoja? And it was like, because she's constructing the whatever. But yeah, good change. Happy with that change. Also, the Neath 2 buff is pretty nice.
Yep. Tiamat, a little bit more base damage on the 1. I don't know how to feel about Tiamat right now. I feel like what she can do in a competitive scene, not even just around spawning the minions to push side lanes and that kind of stuff. It's so much more than that, what she brings to competitive. Getting to spread your red buff, like just the area control that she provides. More so than most gods, she is more valuable at a pro level than a lower end level. Even in ranked, like, I think Tiamat is a terrible ranked god most of the time. Even when she was at her best, I thought that she was pretty bad in ranked. I don't know. I really don't know. She's always been a hard one for me to evaluate. I'm curious to see how much this matters for her at a pro level. Do you think this will bring her back?
I thought she was already good, honestly. So I think this buff will feel really good. I'm honestly surprised I'm not seeing her more often. But I mean, I am just a measly little hunter player. But
true.
Yeah, I thought she was already pretty good.
Yep. Second to last is Tsukiyomi. A little bit of base damage and scaling on the final hit of his 2. This is one of the most hyped gods in the game, I think. With the ultimate. Just doing such cool stuff. I'm a huge Tsukiyomi fan. I don't think this really puts him back in pro play. I think it's mostly to make him feel better at lower levels. At pro play, you weren't finishing this ability the vast majority of the time anyways. But now when you do, like, it is a better benefit. So maybe if you are picking this late in the draft, into comps that don't interrupt your 2 as often, it's also worth noting that since he was meta last, you can now beads in the middle of your 2 animation, which you couldn't do before, which is a huge deal for him at a high level. So maybe those 2 things together brings him back a bit.
I think he's got to be at least okay, but He's such a liability, I feel. If you're having that Suki game where you just can't get online, you're just getting ran out of your back camps by a soul laner or support. I think he's like one of the worst gods. So I think he's a bit of a high risk, high reward style god, but I do agree. I think he's really hype. But I think he's probably like okay-ish, but I don't think his buff will, as you said, I don't think it'll like push him into pro play.
Yeah. And then last but not least, it's Ymir. Shift here, certainly a net nerf for Ymir, who was deserving of it, being the highest performing Guardian in the SPL at Phase 3 playoffs. Wall lifetime was 2 to 6, now 2.5 to 4.5, and the cooldown went from 14 to 10, now is going to be 13 at all ranks. So a better wall at rank 1, a worse wall pretty significantly at max rank. This change, I think, was necessary. It did make me a little bit sad because Ymir is one of the gods that rewarded kit mastery and kit understanding and what his role was in each game really well, because all 3 of his buttons were viable to max first. This makes it less appealing to max the wall, but the 6-second wall on a 10-second cooldown was just insane. And the cooldown needed to go up because those cooldown numbers were from before he could cancel it. Now he can cancel it if you get the wrong wall. So the cooldown just needed to go up. The lifetime needed to go down. And I think that this is a good spot for the wall to land, is going to be my guess.
Yeah, like watching Genetics with the fully upgraded meditation, then he has a double wall in a team fight, like that's just so frustrating and annoying to play against.
Yep.
And that I think he did like 2 or 3 games in playoffs.
Yep.
And yeah, I think it's actually a massive nerf to Ymir.
Yes.
But I do agree. I think that like having a Ymir player on your team with the, I guess like the previous stats on that, it was crazy. But I think it's a very necessary change.
Yeah, it's really this god
does too much.
This god's just crazy. One of those gods that just got buff after buff after buff because he needed it, and the community didn't think he was very good. His stats were very good, all that kind of stuff. That's how it goes. But now is the time of Ymir's reckoning.
Yep.
I think he's still going to be good. He might not be like top 2-able as often. But the reality is, if you were picking Ymir late in the draft and they had a comp that was like, you know, Ishtar, Ra, Erlong, like all this kind of stuff, they were dying to the 6-second wall, they're probably still going to die to the 4.5 second wall. I still think he's going to be very playable. He still brings early pressure. He's just not as insane.
Yeah, you can still like play around with the wall late game as well in a certain comp. So
for sure,
he's still good, but not like broken OP late game where if you get that juicer wall.
That's what we're looking for right there. All right, that is it for the 9.12 patch notes. Should be a fun patch. Hopefully you all enjoy Odin's Onslaught. Big shout out to all the teams who spent a ton of time working on that and put out a great mode, which people are enjoying, which is really good to see. Time for our random question of the week. It's the final random question of the week. I should have led with this. This is the final show of the year. I'm traveling home to Pittsburgh for the next few weeks to spend Christmas there with my family. Won't have my usual setup, all that kind of stuff. So for all intents and purposes, we are planning for this to be the final Backliners episode of 2022. So I want to give a shout out to everyone who comes and supports the show, you know, watches on Twitch and on YouTube and listens on whatever podcast network they want to use. Really appreciate all the support you guys have given us this year. The show is not only continued to be a thing this year, but I feel like a lot of our support has really grown this year. You know, we've gotten a lot of, anytime you're seeing us take on more and more sponsors, I know people get frustrated with how many ad reads we have and all that kind of stuff, but it's a good thing when that's happening. It means that the show is doing well, and we wouldn't be able to do this and all that kind of stuff without everybody's support. So I want to give you all a big thank you for a great 2022. Bear, if I would have told you that we were still doing the Backliners in the year 2023 when we started this years ago, I'm sure you wouldn't have believed me. I wouldn't have believed it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I would have been shocked because I was so nervous our first episode. So I would have been like, there's no way I'm still going to be doing something that makes me nervous. And now I'm not nervous at all. It's pretty relaxing.
That's right. It's a relaxing part of our week. Yeah, I don't even know when our first episode was at this point.
I think it was season 7. Somewhere early season 7.
Season 7. Okay. That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about
Wait.
right. No, maybe it was season 6.
I think it was season 6.
I think it was season 6. We should do a rewatch. J-Man in chat said I think I should rewatch first episode. I think that we should rewatch the first episode. That'd be funny. That'd be good content for us.
I would be so nervous.
To watch it?
No, on the screen.
Yeah, for sure.
I would just be able to tell how freaked out I was.
100%. Yeah, you were on the Renegades. What season were you on the Renegades?
7.
Mm-hmm. Okay, it was season 7 then. Because what team were you on before that? It was Space Station was season
SSG.
5, right?
SSG was season 5 and 6.
5 and 6. Okay, so yeah, it must have been season 7. So yeah, 2 years strong, and here's to an even better third. So thank you everybody for that. We are also planning to do a special interactive episode right after Worlds in January. I'm springing this news on Barry because I forgot to bring it up to him before the show.
Thank you.
One of my favorite shows we've ever done, where people could join the call, be on camera if they wish to be, don't have to be, but interact and ask us questions directly and all that kind of stuff. We're going to have one right after Worlds. Probably not our usual Tuesday slot because Bear and I will both be recovering. Bear, of course, recovering from winning the World Championship celebrations.
Yep.
Myself from not having to call a World Final and being intoxicated watching it, which is my plan. It's going to be a great time. Hopefully you all are coming to Texas, and especially if any Backliners fans are coming to Texas, please, please, please come up and say hi. I can't wait to see everybody again. But yeah, later on in that week that we would be getting back. Worlds is January 13th, 14th, 15th. I think right now we're targeting either January 18th or 19th for one of those interactive shows. So the way those work is you can get a ticket online. I can say that we are going to be giving discounted tickets to our Patreon subscribers. So if you want to support the show and get involved in our community a little bit more, patreon.com/backliners is the place to go. You will also get a discount on these tickets, which is going to be fun. And it should be a lot of fun. That is going to be a 10-hour show, dog. On God. It is going to take so long because we're going to have the World Championship to talk about and Season 10 patch notes to talk about.
Oh no.
Yeah. It's going to be a 15-hour show.
Our shows are no longer 30 to 45 minutes.
No, we got to get back to that in year 3, man. It's on me, I know. We say it every week. But I mean it. I knew it wasn't going to be that this week, even though because of my mood, I knew I was just going to be rambling. So that's just how it was. But yeah, that's the long ending part of this. So it's time for our random questions of the week, which we get from our community Discord, which you can join by going to patreon.com/backliners. There it is. Timmy Two Shots asks, best Christmas song and artist and the worst Christmas song.
What's the one that everyone hates for the best one?
The Mariah Carey one?
Mariah Carey?
Yeah, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
That one's actually my favorite.
Everyone loves that song. Why wouldn't it be your favorite? It's great.
Destiny hates it. She absolutely despises that song. I love it. I don't really think I have a worse Christmas song. I enjoy all Christmas music. I just love Christmas in general.
Yeah, Christmas is just the best, man. I love Christmas. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time is terrible, though. I will be singing it because it gets stuck in my head. but I do hate it. That's got to be my least favorite. Best Christmas song. I mean, like, come on. There's so many good ones. It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas is a great one. That doesn't get enough love. That's where I'm going. I'm going for It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. Free worst Christmas song, if it is a Christmas song, is Baby It's Cold Outside. Obviously everyone knows now, but that song sucks.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. That's
get it out of here. For sure.
Yeah, I completely
trash.
Completely.
J-Man, the aforementioned, asked favorite movie actors, content creators, influencers, etc. growing up.
Well, back in me and Agro's day, it wasn't content creators and influencers.
No such thing. Yeah, those didn't exist.
That's we were.
Can I tell you, my wife is a first grade teacher. She teaches first grade, and she says that the number one job that her kids want to do is be an influencer. That is number one.
Oh no.
Most popular. More so than professional athlete or astronaut or vet, which are some of the other popular ones. Is influencer, which I'm not going to sit here and wag my finger from my porch about the young whippersnappers and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. We're doing it.
I think of it as an opportunity to remind these influencers how much power they have, and that their actions matter because they are influencing such young kids. That's it.
I think influencers should not be a thing. Because
bad news.
It's just like, I mean, more of like the social media influencers.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, look at me and my perfect life and all the things that I have, all the possessions that I have. Because I just feel like that's a very toxic thing for people to grow up and see. Because I feel like it leads to people chasing a lifestyle they're most likely never going to have.
Yes.
And I think that's a very dangerous thing for young people to be chasing. Not that you shouldn't be chasing the best version of yourself, but I feel like everyone chasing an influencer lifestyle is very dangerous.
Well, there. I mean, look, we're late. I'm in a bad mood. I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's they're teaching you to be good little capitalists. You know, it's that all of these things are what bring you joy and all that kind of stuff. Look at all the things that I have. Look at all the money that I have. Money is the most important thing. I should spend and show my wealth as the way to be the most popular. And advertising market, agencies are never going to let, now that they have a direct line of capitalism good into child's brain. I mean, they have forever, but like a new angle of attack that is really good. It will never stop. It will only get worse.
Because it's just like you just want to buy now. I mean, when we were growing up, it was whatever like movie star was selling certain things, and I feel like movie stars are kind of dead now. And influencers are the new movie stars.
They really are.
I don't know how.
I was thinking that too. That like there aren't movie star, like new movie stars that aren't also very big on social media. I mean, there are, but like they aren't as prevalent. But that's just how society is. Like it's gonna go one way, then rebound to the other, and rebound to the other. So it'll be fine, I guess, or it won't be. Who knows? What can we do? Anyways, your favorite actors or role models or anything like that growing up that were famous?
I liked Adam Sandler a lot growing up. I liked Seth Rogen. I like those style of like comedies. Because comedy when we were growing up was very unfiltered.
I was just talking about comedies like this. When was the last time a movie was made like Dodgeball?
Dude, I went back and watched. I think it was like Knocked Up. I think
Great movie.
it came out like 2007.
Yeah.
The jokes that they made back then blows my current mind.
It's true.
Like
there was a lot.
The last,
yeah.
I would say that the last like 4 or 5 years, social media and onlineness has gone so like not I wouldn't say strict. Strict is a bad way to say it, but I guess clean is a better way to say it. But I was like, what? Like that, those are like the prime influencing years in my brain cells.
It's true.
And those jokes that I was hearing blows my mind. And the fact that they were able to get away with that stuff and influence us when we were growing up with that is crazy. But I mean, it's just like times change, I guess. It's just
they sure do.
Really weird.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love the stupid humor that and maybe they are making these movies and I just think they're stupid and not funny. Because I'm old now. Maybe my parents felt the same way when...
Well, you do like that Netflix show that I hate.
It's the greatest show of all time. I think you should leave. Tim Robinson is literal genius. He's the funniest man alive. I don't care what anyone says. It has broken my brain. He is the best. There's no doubt about it. You're right, Bear. I'm right. My favorite, J-Man, to answer your question, Will Smith was my guy.
Oh, true.
He was just so cool, man.
Yeah.
There was no one cooler than Will Smith. I do use the past tense because now there are a lot of people cooler than Will Smith. But back in the day, he was the man, for sure.
Good answer. Very good answer.
All right, Hiru. Getting sick sucks. Agreed. Hope you feel better, Hiru. That sucks. What is the one cure-all comfort food that your parents or yourself nowadays would make that make you feel better? We've talked about this on the show before. For me, ginger ale. 100%. Ginger ale, goated, sick thing. Obviously, you know, toast, Gatorade, all that kind of stuff. Soup, but ginger ale is the big one for me.
Yeah. I'm just gonna copy my answer from before. It was just like cinnamon buttered toast. Just lightly toasted butter, to where it's like kind of melted but still uncooked. And then a lot of cinnamon sugar on it. And then if not that, I think it was like a bouillon cube with rice, I think, was something I ate growing up.
One time I ate a bouillon cube.
Straight up?
Well, it was on a nacho cheese Dorito.
Huh.
You see, what had happened was I made an assertion in high school.
A what?
In assertion. I made a claim that nacho cheese Doritos were so good that they could... It was when... I think it was around when the nacho cheese... the Doritos Locos Taco came out at Taco Bell. And I was saying, you know, there were some naysayers, fools. And I said that nacho cheese Dorito would make anything taste better. And a girl who I wanted to impress with my commitment to the bit decided to take me up on that challenge and came over to my house and we got a bunch of bags of Doritos and she was just pull food items out of the pantry or out of the fridge and I would eat them with the said nacho cheese Doritos. And the bouillon cube plus nacho cheese Dorito was the final straw. I backed down after that. But that was after I had eaten a lot of really gross combinations. Cottage cheese and nacho cheese Doritos. Worse than you think. Worse than you think, for sure.
I don't think I've ever had cottage cheese.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think we ever bought it and used it. What's it mainly used for?
It's like its own like thing. It's like a side.
Oh, yeah, no. I've never had it. Or at least I don't remember ever having it.
It tastes... I haven't had it in years. If anyone's squeamish, mute for a second. Its taste is good. Its mouthfeel is exactly that of what I imagine pudding diarrhea would feel like in my mouth. Exactly. Little solid, mostly wet, mostly liquid, but just little hints.
We should have ended the podcast.
Hey, Yeah, that'll help Hero feel better as that answer. And one more before they're not too late. If they're not too late, admit to your crimes. What is one thing you've gotten in trouble for that you won't ever forget? Eating a bullion coupon and nacho cheese Dorito. No, one time my mom's townhouse that she lives in is in a neighborhood that has a pool. My friends and I went in the pool after dark, which is not allowed. Hopped the fence, got in there. We weren't even like drinking or like doing anything weird. We were literally just like in the pool having a good time, and someone's got to call the cops and kill our fun. And it was a funny story because one of the cops like taking all of our names, all that kind of stuff, and gets to our one friend, and he pronounces his last name, which I'm not going to do on the podcast because I don't want to dox him. And it was a different pronunciation than we had never called it. Like, we had called him his last name, but with like a short vowel instead of a long vowel for like 7 years. And he was the last one to go in line. So by that point, none of us were like that scared anymore. And I literally was like, wait a minute. Is that how you say your last name? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, no. We haven't called you that. We always say, let's use your last name because that's public knowledge. Salter. Mm-hmm. It's like we had been calling him Salter for years. For years. And he never said a word to anyone. And he's like, yeah, John Salter. And we were like, what? That's how you say it? Why didn't you say anything? He's like, I don't know. And then we all laughed at him, and the cop laughed too. And it was really funny. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm actually very much a rule follower. My first grade teacher wife makes fun of me for it because she breaks more rules than I do.
Yeah, I am as well a rule follower. Even if there's no one around, I'm still gonna turn my blinker on and completely stop at a stop sign.
Oh yeah. It's the same thing to do.
Yeah, and there's so many people, especially, in Georgia, that drive a little crazy. And
yes.
Okay, back on topic. Elementary school, we were sitting down eating cafeteria food. We were getting up to leave. And my best friend at the time, he got up to leave, and he just went to the bathroom. And because I thought our lunch session was over, so I got up out of my seat to go line up. And so I just started lining up at the door. And the elementary school teacher, or my first or second grade teacher, I don't remember what year it was, she got so mad at me, and she was like, if you jumped off a bridge, would you follow him? And I was like,
a classic line.
What? I was just getting up to leave because I thought it was time to leave. Calm down. I'm sorry, but as a kid brain, I was like, oh no, I've really screwed up. Yep. Oh my gosh, I'm never gonna recover from this. There you go. I still think of it. I still feel like I was in the right.
There you go. So, take that, teacher lady.
Yeah, first, second, third grade teacher. I don't even remember what year, but take that.
Yeah, Barry was right.
Jerk.
Come on the podcast and defend yourself if you dare.
Yeah.
You won't. You're so scared.
Probably a 60, 70-year-old woman at this point, so I feel a little bad.
I don't. Loser. Okay. That's how we're going to end this year's podcast, that's for sure. Thank you so much, everybody, for all the support. It was a great year of podcasting. We're excited to do it again next year. And our next show will be previewing the Smite World Championship, which is crazy to think about. Can't wait. It's going to be an absolute blast. Big shout out, of course, to Prediction. Make sure you check out all their other shows. They've got a bunch of shows across the network covering a bunch of different esports. I'm sure we'll be able to find one that you vibe with. They have a bunch of great hosts on this network, so big shout out to them. And all of our sponsors for the year, for this episode in particular, it was Factor. Go.factor75.com/backliners60 to get 60% off your first order. And BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/backliners to get 10% off your first month. Big shout out to them. A great way to support the show is by interacting with our sponsors. Also launched our Patreon this year. Patreon.com/backliners is where you can go there if you want to support us directly and be a part of our podcast community, which I'm a big fan of personally. So that's going to do it for us here in 2022. We'll be back next year. Have a great holiday, everybody. Be safe. Don't do anything stupid that Barry wouldn't do. If I would do it, still probably don't do it. It's just not going to work out. And safe New Year's as well. And we will be seeing you in a few weeks whenever the Backliners return. So bear on no pressure. But this is the last one of the year.
Thank you.
And you do know what to do. Oh, great.
Bro,
Great.
Give me a...
It was so smooth.
Do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
All right. That does it for the show, everyone. I do the whole 5-minute thing. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Barry, you know what to do.
Bye.
Oh, with the cat as well. And you know, oh, she's waving. Bye. Oh.